Picture this. A tech giant, a real titan in its field, unveils its most powerful creation ever, a world beater, the next big thing. You'd expect the stock to go to the moon, right? Well, what if I told you it did the exact opposite? It plummeted. This isn't some made-up story. It's exactly what happened with Baidu's latest AI, and we're going to figure out why and what it means for the entire AI race. The first clue to this whole mystery comes from Baidu's own CEO, Robin Li. He said they were an early riser but late to the fair. A little cryptic, right? But that one sentence, that's the key to understanding the entire paradox of their brand new model, ERNIE 5.0. It hints that this story is about way more than just lines of code. All right, so let's set the stage here. We're talking about Baidu. Think of them as China's Google. They run the biggest search engine, and they are an absolute powerhouse in the AI world. They've been in this game for years, so when word got out they were dropping a new flagship model, well, the anticipation was huge. Everybody was watching. And this wasn't just some minor update. No, this was Baidu planting a flag. They were putting ERNIE 5.0 on the world stage as a direct competitor to the names you know. OpenAI's GPT, Google's Gemini. This was their big shot to prove they weren't just a regional player, but a global contender. And you know what? On paper, this thing was an absolute beast, a monster. So let's pop the hood and see what kind of engine was making all that noise, and why everyone was expecting this to completely change the game. The very first number that just jumps off the page is its size, 2.4 trillion parameters. Now, in the AI world, parameters are kind of like brain cells. They're a rough measure of how powerful and complex a model is. And 2.4 trillion, that is just a staggering number. To give you some perspective, let's look at its most famous rival, GPT-4. The rumors put it at about 1.7 trillion parameters. So ERNIE 5.0 was significantly bigger, which suggests, at least on paper, that it should have been way more capable. But it wasn't just bigger, it was built differently. This is where it gets really interesting. See, most AI models are kind of bolted together like Lego sets. You start with a text model, then you tack on a vision piece, then an audio piece. ERNIE 5.0 was designed from day one to be omnimodal. It was literally born understanding text, images, audio, and video all at once. And here's the really clever part. It was smart about how it used all that power. It used what's called a mixture of experts system. So imagine you have a team of 100 different specialists. When you ask a simple question, you don't need all 100 of them to chime in. The system just calls on the 3 experts it needs for that specific task. It's an incredibly efficient way to work. So naturally, Baidu was shouting from the rooftops about this. They claimed it was better at everything, integrating different types of data, understanding languages from all over the world, giving more accurate answers, and hey, they had the test scores from over 40 benchmarks to prove it. And this was the cherry on top. Soon after it came out, it rocketed up to the #2 spot globally on the Ella Marina leaderboard, which is a big deal in the AI community. The verdict was in. All signs pointed to a home run for Baidu. But that is when the story takes a very, very sharp turn. So we just saw a technical masterpiece. Now let's look at the financial side of things, because the market's reaction, well, it was the exact opposite of what you'd think. The day after that huge announcement, Baidu's stock didn't just fail to launch, it cratered. It dropped almost 10% in a single day, the company's worst trading day in 7 months. All that groundbreaking tech, and investors were sprinting for the exits. And that brings us to the billion-dollar question, doesn't it? Why? If the tech was so good, if it was a true competitor on the world stage, why did Wall Street hit the panic button? The answer, it turns out, tells us something really important about this new phase of the AI race. It turns out that in 2025, just having the best tech isn't enough to win, not anymore. Especially when you're fighting in the absolute street brawl that is China's domestic AI market. Get a load of this number. There are over 1,500, that's 1,500, different AI models, all competing for customers inside China. It is one of the most crowded, cutthroat tech markets on the entire planet. And in a market that's saturated, a weird thing happens. The technical specs, the parameter counts, they stop mattering as much. When everybody's tech is good enough, the battle shifts. It's no longer about who's the best, it's about who has the best distribution, the stickiest ecosystem, and most importantly, the lowest price. Now, this table right here tells you everything you need to know. Yeah, sure, ERNIE 5.0 is cheaper than its American rival GPT 5.1, but look closer. The real threat is coming from its own sibling, the older ERNIE 4.5 Turbo, which is drastically cheaper. Baidu is in a price war with itself. It's a race to the bottom, and investors absolutely hate to see that. A Bloomberg analyst nailed it. He said the tech has impressive features, but in a market where huge players like Alibaba and Tencent all have similar models, it just doesn't stand out enough. There's no reason to pay a premium for it. Plus, investors weren't just looking at this one product in a vacuum. They were looking at Baidu's whole financial picture. Their main moneymaker, online ads, is shrinking. Their AI cloud business is growing, sure, but not nearly fast enough to make up for it. So Wall Street is looking at this and thinking, can they even afford to be in this ridiculously expensive AI arms race? And all of this points to a new reality for AI competition. It's not just about writing the smartest code anymore. It's about geopolitics, it's about custom-built computer chips, and it's about having incredibly deep pockets. Because of US export controls that limit access to the most advanced chips, China's tech giants are now in a frantic race to build their own silicon. We're talking Baidu, Alibaba, Huawei. Every major player is pouring billions into designing their own custom chips for AI. And the amount of money being thrown at this problem is almost hard to comprehend. We're looking at a projected $98 billion in AI-related spending in China for 2025. And look at that, more than half of it is coming straight from the government. So the takeaway here is pretty simple, but it's crucial. The rules of the game have fundamentally changed. Winning in the AI race today isn't about having the top score on a leaderboard. It's about having the financial endurance and the government support to simply outlast everyone else. And that leaves us with a big question that defines this entire era of technology. As state-of-the-art AI becomes more and more of a commodity, what's the winning strategy? Is it building the absolute best, most advanced technology? Or is it offering the best price and building the most sustainable business? The answer to that is going to shape the next decade of innovation for all of us.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.